So times are pretty much coming in. Adams State very soon will be on a hot lap. We'll try and see if we can find out where the car is momentarily. But this session will last for right up until 2300 Central European Time. It's 11 PM, or if you're watching from the UK, a very good evening. It'll be 10 o'clock tonight that will conclude the official free practice session, and also our official pre-race press conference. We'll be speaking to quite a few people. Also, we'll be speaking to Turn Lower and from Team Iris, a new team for LMP2 this year. Turn Lower was with Juices last season. And also we'll be speaking to Arturas Mazaitis and Sebastian Deville from Team Adrenaline. They'll be the last guests on the official press conference here tonight. And DIS 1 minute 57.672. So I'm gonna start trying to check out to see where there are some other cars on track. Let's see if I can find the Corvette. But a pretty handy lap there. But about the best part of let's have a look. Okay. So I would imagine we're probably on board with the Audi from Volante Racing by Azatec Simsports. Through into the S corners, and what we're going to give you is as much opportunity to give you an insight on how concentrated the drivers are over the course of any racing, and also through qualifying, because we'll have a exit stage right and return to garage straight off. So just going to have a quick look. We will have our first guest in just after the first commercial break, which will be at 1:30 the hour. As we now head on to GT3. And the thing is that they will not be able to have multiple cars. They can do that in official free practice as the... Well, that's a bit close there. That's the 82 McLaren 720S GT3. And they're running in formation at the moment behind the Teleforingen car. Going through the S's. And then they'll be heading into Dunlop, the Ferris wheel, an iconic site here at Matsusaka. They're now going to head hard on the brakes, turn in. Well, you're literally nigh on pinching the envelope going through into the two Degners. And Degner 1, pretty easy, but it's downshifting 2 gears, down the gearbox, hard on the brakes, and it's side by side through into the hairpin. And the 82 car going around the outside of the Teleforingen 188, now heading into the sweeping right-hander. So Adam Surej is behind one of the cars, and the other one. So it'll be Christopher Klanek in the car in the front of this train, and you can tell by the top right-hand corner, if you're looking from the driver's perspective on the windscreen, is indicating where the car is positioned on track in terms of the lap times so far. And in the minute, it is Alessio Neto from Brazil, from Volante Racing by Azatec Simsport, in the 1:57.1s as Christopher Klanek runs a little bit wide coming out of 130R and into the Casio Triangle, the infamous place where Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost clashed a few years ago, probably to the tune of well over 2.5 decades. At that particular corner, Senna went on to win, got promptly disqualified because he used the runoff area, and Alain Prost was pretty happy about that one. So Christopher Klanek, as we see one of the DPIs having to grass track a little bit coming out of the pit lane because the Azatec car, the Volante by Simsport, the Volante Racing by Azatec gets through. So we're right on board with the car itself. There is a DPI just up ahead. And that will be the Unison Racing car. So they've also gone on a two-pronged attack this year. The number 17 will have the likes of Denis Eshenko and Artem Shulayev, and also team boss Alexei Maizin in that car. New, some very, very striking liveries. Mugen has gone with the universal or unilateral approach on their liveries for 2022. So gone is the Brawn GP tribute band from last year. They did miss out on the title, and in terms of that kind of situation, they finished 36 points behind Unison Racing after the double points finale, and it could have been so different had things gone their way a little bit earlier on in the 2021 season. But as you can see, everyone's getting up to speed rather quickly. Just keeping an eye on the times in the DPI class. It is Henry Sinnick for Maradnus E-Stars that leads the way. 1 minute 44.622 in that car. David Mrocek for Burst Esport Simplexity. 1 minute 45.4. Michi Hoyer, 1 minute 45.570, running at the top three. Denis Ishenko, 1 minute 47.118. We have had Team Viaduct in return with a striking new livery for the 2022 season, courtesy of John Fabricius. So, exit stage left. I think that was Adam Surej that unfortunately was on the receiving end. A new team, another one in the LMP2 class. Rather striking purple and bright cyan blue livery. That is the Russian outfit. Cyberlinks Racing, led by Alex. I'm just trying to remember names. There's so many names that have changed teams. It's all gone a bit to pot, so to speak. And that is Alexei Zagorodnev that leads that crew. And there on the left-hand side of your screen is the Unison Racing number 17 going through into Spoon Curve. And also has decided to put some logos on there, so a big thank you to Unison for doing so. On the back stretch, down towards 130R, and looking a little bit earlier on this week, it's mainly the case that these cars, I've seen people approach towards the apex of 130R in the DPIs at around about the best part of nearly 290 kilometers per hour in top gear. So the car comes across the line once again. We have got a brief yellow flag out in Sector 2. Please, just a brief apology, reference the timing. I will keep you up to date with the timings, but that was Denis Ishenko that was crossing the line there. Artem Shulayev is also out on track. So as I said earlier on, you can have quite a few duplicates or doppelgangers, as the terminology goes. A little bit bumpy going through the approach through Dunlop into Degner 1, throws it in, runs onto the curbing, nice and tidy, through Degner 2, and there's also a couple of doppelganger Juices Motorsport Club cars, one of which is run by Sabakis, the other one by Robert Pawn. And at the moment, it's Alexei Zagorodnev that's leading the way in the LMP2 cars. 1 minute 46.486. Damien Skovron, the Skovron that decided to jump in for Burst Esport Gura sunglasses. So many things are changing across the course of that. Apologies for the slight bing there. I don't know what happened. Probably forgot to hit mute a little bit earlier on, but a very good evening to Conrad Bayer, who is watching along with us, and very shortly we will have our first guest of the evening. So we will find out momentarily. Well, you'll probably recognise this person. We've been waiting, chomping at the bit to get this man into the studio and get ourselves ready to go. But I think really we're at 26 minutes past the hour. We're going to go to a brief commercial break here on GTR24H. Don't touch that dial. 2022 Endurance E-Racing World Championship brought to you in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriot, Aztec Sim Sports, Global Flix, Motorvision.tv, Sten Goldman, ESTV, and Film Vault Limited. Right.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.
So you better sit here, because then, Peter, we can use that camera, can't we? No. Sit there. Yeah. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for continuing coverage of official free practice for the GTR24H press conference. And I'm pleased to have alongside me, I've been meaning to get this man on interview, Jon Fabricius Terrell, CEO of GTR24H, joins me. John, good evening. How are you, buddy? It's been...
We just need an extra intro.
Yeah, we do. Thank you, Mr. Moncalm, as always. Jon Fabricius Terrell joins me. I know it's not. He's had this before. We had that at the Le Mans finale last year. But John, good to see you, buddy. Good to be back here in Denmark. A 6-round calendar. So we've got Matsusaka, Monza, Sebring. We bring Interlagos to the calendar. We go Spa, and then we have the EEWC Le Mans finale in late October. How excited are you about this championship? Because we've got nearly 30 cars going into competition this weekend, all vying for their share of a $150,000 prize pool.
Yeah, I'm extremely excited. I haven't ever been as excited as I am in my entire life actually for GTR. It's been an amazing year for GTR in 2022. A lot of things have happened with us. The cooperation with Suki, stuff ongoing behind the scenes for developments in the VR world and metaverse, like gaming stuff upcoming, as well the leagues upcoming, new stuff starting up as new special events coming this year. So yeah, there's a lot of exciting things, and now of course the EEWC is the most exciting thing for us. It's like our primary league. So yeah, I quite like it a lot actually. It's pretty good actually for the moment.
Yeah, I think realistically, with the amounts of teams, we've now got Burst Esport, headed up by Jesper Pedersen. We've got the likes of Janis Simincic, Michi Hoyer, a whole host of talent. I know that Cameron Rogers, one of the drivers that's going to be lining up in the LMP2 car this week. The amount of interest. We've got Sam 9 Axel, we've got Daniel Murad, a real-life racer who's just done a deal with Advanced Sim Racing over stateside. He's a real-life works driver for Mercedes-AMG GT3. But also the caveat that MPE, the culmination of Musto and Pescara, when you and I had initial talks with Eros Masciuli, and he said, yeah, we're bringing a real-life WEC driver. So, ladies and gentlemen, brace yourself for an actual driver that's going to be competing in this year's FIA World Endurance Championship in GT-AM with GK Racing, Italy's Riccardo Pera, who is also a vice champion back in 2019 of the European Le Mans Series. That's what we wanted. We wanted real life people to get involved. Obviously, Alex has been a real big champion. He said to me earlier on when I talked to him, obviously we had to mitigate the circumstances, reference a 7-hour time difference. So Alex wouldn't be able to be with us because at the moment in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur, it's just gone 4:30 in the morning. So we thought, well, we'll get that interview out of the way. But he was really excited. The team's really hyped up. They're a little bit rusty, but everyone deserves a break, even in the sim racing world. Wouldn't you agree?
Definitely, man. I've also had some good talks with Alex about that, and the break for these guys really need that after the Le Mans Virtual and stuff like that. They were completely exhausted, and it's good seeing that these guys are in this championship as well. Also because of the time driven, of course, it's also pretty demanding, and that's why I actually like this kind of like event now, because we actually have teams in from Brazil as well. So I had a good chat with some of the guys from Brazil at the CKR team, and the Aztec Volante team, Elisio actually, especially. We kind of like basically had amazing talks about him being like 9,600 kilometers away and racing on our servers without any lags and stuff like that. It's so good to be in that situation, and we want to have the most stable environment for all our drivers. That's the main key focus for me, to ensure that for the teams that actually compete in our championship.
I think also the fact that a lot of drivers, in every off season, it happens in real life, it happens in sim racing, that drivers have moved teams. The biggest moves that I think of are Alexis Zagorodnev setting up Cyberlinks Racing, and also the fact that they've got a Russian-Ukrainian crew, which is and obviously we have to. I'm going to say this briefly. We're not going to touch on it anymore. But our thoughts here at GTR24H are with the nation of Ukraine at the moment. We're not going to talk about that, because what we tend to find is that motorsport crosses boundaries, divides, cultures, creeds, whatever. We're going to concentrate on the racing action. And John, obviously new liveries. Jesus Motorsport Club come back. LMP2 and the Academy car, they go to Aston Martin. I'm going to be catching up with Nick in about just under an hour's time, and we're going to find out from him, how the team have been preparing in the off season. We got some great pedalers in there, Robert Pawn, Saba Kiss, and obviously free practice. We're trying to keep this as real to life as possible, whereby we had the teams talking to us via a dedicated Discord server, saying, well, it's going to be like driving on ice. The thing is that what we want to do here at GTR is take it up another level. We want to make sure that you get the full, unmitigated realism of going on a track, the cold tyres, the cold brakes, cars not up to temp, and this is where they're going to have to fight for this prize fund this year, John, and I couldn't be more excited as well.
Yeah, I think one of the most important things for me is basically to tell the teams out that they are part of this organization, and the more we go into 2022, they will start to notice that we're trying to build our strategy up, situated around the drivers, and it's really important they actually enjoy themselves. Yeah, of course, this is a competition where it's high level money up there and stuff like that, but it's also about entertainment, and they should enjoy themselves, and we try to improve all the way, and you can never be the best at something, because you can always improve, and that's the thing what we're trying to do at GTR. We have our faults here and there, but that's something we want to improve for the future, and I do think that having all these teams in here with the variety of nationalities and stuff like that is just amazing to be part of. I love it by my heart. It's so close to me, and And it's something that I really enjoy by sim racing is the community of drivers meeting up, especially our physical event that's something I miss very much. And I hope we have the possibilities to actually go through this year with that. COVID decides that, but let's see where it goes.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about the pandemic much over at all, because the good thing is things are starting to open globally, which is great news.
Yeah.
And for us here at GTR, we're going to have our commentary team reunited for 2022. Joining me over the course of this week will be Yusuf bin Suhail, who's currently moonlighting in Exeter before he jumps over, and I wonder if you're going to bring your sparkly hat that you got at the broadcast. I did say, have you got your dancing cane with you, Yusuf? So hopefully we'll be seeing him and Kieran McGinley on Friday evening for qualifying 2. But joining me for qualifying 1, and he'll be joining us for 3 hours of the race, Mr. Chris Buxton will be also in the house. He'll be back at his Somerset HQ in the same hometown as one Jenson Button. But you know, the amount of hard work that we've all put in behind the scenes, you know, we've started to build a community. The Discord is really thriving. The teams have been very, very, I wouldn't say the word vocal, but they've been very, very constructive.
Yeah.
In a lot of points, and obviously there's been a couple of changes. I mean, let's talk about with the fact that the DPIs and the LMP2s were very, very close last year, but this year there's been a power increase. Obviously, we've actually gone by guidance from, and I have to say a big thank you to Marcel Offermans from Studio 397, who said in 2019 that the best way to do it, the only way you're going to do it, is you're going to have to increase the power, and we are seeing at the moment Henry Cynic 1 minute 44.622 in the number 64 LMP2 car, and you know what? It's actually closer than I thought it was going to be. Alexei Zagorodnev has just put in a 1 minute 46.486. However, free practice times do not, as we both know, John. Tomorrow night in qualifying, we're going to have a daytime and a nighttime session, and the combined average of those best lap times decides the grid for Sunday afternoon when we kickstart things at 2 o'clock. You know, as you say, there's been a lot of changes, but with the different nationalities, and also, you know, the team behind the scenes, we can't thank Peter and Niels on broadcast enough. I mean, James, our marketing director, we had a catch up with him earlier on, which was really, really good to see. But I think the general consensus is that 2022 for the Endurance E-Racing World Championship is in a very good place right now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Definitely. It's something that I'm very much looking forward to, and especially, as well as I said before, the teams are the most important thing for me, and they really need to have a good time here, and if there's any concerns, and do not hesitate to contact us, either you or me or whatever, if you have any concerns out there. So it's definitely something that we want to improve, and the whole idea with the WC is the community, and the drivers should have the chance actually to meet and greet later in life, and that's what it's all about. It's about you having fun, and it's also the professionalism of drivers having a good competition in the same level of driving skills. And that's why I like this championship, because you can also come in as an amateur rookie driver, and you also have the possibility to compete against some of the best one out there, and you only learn by doing.
Yeah, practice makes perfect, as the old adage goes. But yeah, I mean, just looking at the track itself, John, I mean, I'd like to get it from our CEO's perspective. You know, you've been with GTR for a number of years now, but obviously Matsusaka, steeped in tradition. It's been open since the early 1960s. It gives the drivers a firm test. You know, there's lots of sweeping corners. There's the S-bends, there's the Degners, there's the iconic 130R, where we have seen before the official free practice session tonight that people have had more than their few exit stage left or stage right and heading into the barrier. It's a track that rewards precision and bravery in both equal measures, doesn't it?
Yeah. Actually, the one thing I actually want to mention, which I find is a little bit unfortunate, is that this Matsusaka track we're using is actually quite old. I think it was released in 2015, I think, and it could really require a graphical update. So I hope the plan from Studio 397 is actually to do an update to the track by laser scan it and stuff like that, and that will definitely help on the track side of stuff, and get an update on that.
Well, the funny thing is, I have to give a little bit of a shout out. You might see a little sticker. We had a visit from Maria and Henrik from Glam Racing. She's just asked me, Have I tasted the lemon drizzle cake? Maria, I'll be completely honest with you. After the session tonight, I will be taking a nice, big, hearty bite. That's for damn sure.
No, you won't. You will be craving it.
I will be, well, I won't be eating it all to myself because I've got to save some for the crew. But looking at the times at the moment, well, turn lower has just gone quickest in LMP2. Right, get this. 1 minute 45.906. You know what that says to me? Shots fired.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised about that, Jim. Him going away from deuces and stuff like that. And when I saw that subscription with Team Iris, I was a little bit, what's going on here?
Yeah.
It was a quite surprising moment for me. But, it's sim racing. People change from team to team now and then, and they find new people to work with. And this is what we're seeing right now. So it's good. Yeah,
just to give you an update on the top 3 in the respective classes. DPI, it is Henry Cynic on a 1 minute 44.622. David Mrocek from Burst Sport Esports Simplexity. Sorry, Jesper Pedersen. I'm going to try and get it right by the end of the evening, and it'll be good for qualifying tomorrow. 1 minute 45.290. Then Michi Hoyer, 1 minute 45.570. That's the top 3 in Hypercar. LMP2, it's turn lower versus Alexis Zagorodnev. So Team Iris and Cyberlinks Racing. 1 minute 45.9 for turn lower, and for Alexi it's 1 minute 46.486. Damian Skovron in the Burst Esport Guru Sunglasses entry, 1 minute 46.674. Then we turn our attention to GTE, and it is Mugen Sim Racing's number 67 of Zoltan Varkonyi, 1 minute 57.255. DIS, and as I say that, Roland Zooks goes quicker than Zoltan Varkonyi. You can see there's a little bit of bragging rights going on there. 1 minute 56.729. And DIS, 1 minute 57.535. Nikolai Bezlikov doing pretty well in the BMW M8 GTE. I think probably for Yusuf Bin Sahal, who is a complete and utter anime and manga nut, he said that's his favourite livery so far. When I sent him a screenshot, he went, "Oh, I like it." And I thought the words "clean up on aisle 3" were definitely very, very, very well mandated. We have got a yellow out in sector 1 at the moment, but it's Alessio Neto. Actually, you were saying that he's 9,200 kilometres away.
No, 9,660,
okay.
I think, kilometres away from my server when we calculated it. It's completely nuts, man.
And his ping rate was what, 123 milliseconds?
23 milliseconds, yeah.
That's the thing about GTR24H. We have had 2.5 years of no server interruptions, no code reds at all.
No.
And we heard that from Arturus Mazaitis.
We hope it continue. we
knock on wood.
Yeah.
But good to see CKR, Leandro Vela, doing a great job in the number 13 CKR McLaren, rounding out the top 2. A little bit of time to find, though, nearly 8.5 tenths of a second. And Christopher Klanick for the 82 Mugen Sim Racing McLaren 720S GT3 rounds out the top 3 on a 1 minute 58.668. Well, I think we're going to go to a brief commercial break now because John has got plenty of work to do behind the scenes. So
I just have one quick note I would actually like to mention is that we made it possible for us to go live on the Motorvision TV for the entire weekend. So you will be able to watch it on their app going live from 2 p.m. on this Saturday. So that's all. Yes.
Well, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Our first guest of the official press conference, CEO of GTR24H, John Fabricius. Thank you for joining me. We'll be back in just a couple of months' time.
Bye, guys.
The 2022 Endurance E-Racing World Championship brought to you in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriot, Azatec Sim Sports, Global Flix, Motorvision.tv, Stengolm, ESTV, and Film Vault Limited.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're now into the, coming up to the turn of the hour in about just over 10 minutes' time here on GTR24H. My name's Alex Goldschmidt, your host and commentator for this evening. A lot of action has been happening in the moment as Jan Bruggaard from Teleforingen finds the barriers with the left side of the BMW M6 after the Degners. We might be getting a... And Rasmus Andreasen, one of the team at Burst Esport, good as sunglasses in the number 94 car in the LMP2. Laid down towards the infamous 130R, if anyone might remember Michael Schumacher's. Michael Schumacher basically being at the mercy of one Fernando Alonso, and Alonso went right round the outside in his Renault at that particular point on way to winning one of his 2 World Championship titles in Formula 1. Can see the main straightaway here. Quite a good opportunity for passing heading into first corner. At the moment, Andreasen has been posting the 6th highest time at the moment. Turn lower, still fastest out there in LMP2 ahead of Alexis Zagorodnev, and still Burst Esport, good as sunglasses. Damian Skowron from Poland rounds out the top 3. Some great liveries. Also, Burst Esports is the esports arm of Bicollars Racing, who have competed in the World Endurance Championship, but a lot of talent, and we'll be speaking to one of their hotshots that will be running in the DPI class in just under just under half an hour's time. In about 25 minutes, we'll be speaking to Michi Hoyer from Germany, who is part of the Burst Esports Simplexity crew, and that is the talisman car that will be running in the DPI class alongside Sem9 Axel, Unison Racing, and also, amongst others, Muradnus E-Stars. You can see Rasmus Andreasen hard at work behind the wheel, and he'll be communicating with the team. Also, you can find out how you can listen to the team radios themselves actually by multiple ways. And our spotter's guide is pretty much almost complete, which will be ready for qualifying tomorrow. Alexis Zagorodnev in the 241 Cyberlinks racing car, second in the class at the moment, but it is a substantial gap of nearly 6 tenths between turn lower and Alexis Zagorodnev. with Burst Esports just rounding out the top 3 in the LMP2 class. As the action keeps on rolling here at Matsusaka, you can see that the virtual spectators are either in the hospitality areas. Social distancing looks to be in some apparent use there. And also on the grandstand overlooking the main start-finish straight here at Matsusaka. 5.807 kilometers in length, and we are going to be going once around the clock. That's going to be a total of 12 hours of racing. It is going to be hard fought over that period, because at the end of it all, drivers will be able, well, teams will be able to accumulate a maximum of 25 points for a victory. Pole position secures you 1 point in qualifying, and also for completing the race itself. You end up with an additional point with the Le Mans finale, meaning that we have double bubble on the opportunity horizon. There'll be a total of 50 points for the win at Le Mans, 2 points for pole position and 2 points for completing the race. Here's João Barbosa from Portugal, one of the multiple drivers that have ended up in the academy car, and joining him will be, apart from Wojtek Poleżny, we'll also have Tony Jansen, Roy de Muynck and Juha Mäki-Juopi, who also made a brief segue into this championship last year. The Finn back for a bit more of a taste of the pie, so to speak, and they'll be looking to do their very best. This crew got pole position at Sebring last year, and Sebring was a bit of a slobber knocker in its own right. It's only right that we return there for round 3 of the championship, making it through to the halfway point of the season before from Florida to Interlagos we go. And Barbosa currently sitting in 6th position in this at the moment. And across the line goes the driver. So it's a long run down this straightaway here in Matsusaka. Temperature really hasn't changed that much. Through into the first corner, and you can see Barbosa hard at work, very, very focused. The force feedback just showcasing that people saying that sim racing is you driving in circles and you've got no real caveats of what's going on. You have, because there's a lot of force feedback going through these direct drive hubs. Also that the drivers are mentally concentrating. There is a lot of information that you're processing at the same time. You're finding out about the track evolution as Barbosa takes a very Valtteri Bottas approach into Degner 1. Back end steps out, manages to save it. Well held there. João Barbosa heading into the very next part of the circuit, through into the hairpin for the run down towards Spoon Curve. Very deceptive double left-hander. And this is the set. This is Christopher Klanek in this car. Oh, that mounts the barriers and ends up on its roof. I'm wondering if there might have been a little bit of netcode involved there, but Christopher Klanek still second in the session at the moment. The car is now in the garage. So at the moment, it is getting a bit closer between the top 3 in GT3, with Alessio Neto from Volante Racing by Azatec Simsport in first position, 1 minute 57.132, and is 1.5 seconds quicker than Christopher Klanek in the 82 Mugen Sim Racing car. With Alexander Secker from Volante Racing by Azatec Simsport in the Doppelganger car. They are, as I said, they are allowed to run duplicate vehicles throughout this free practice session, but we take that away for official qualifying. Parts 1 and 2. Part 1 will be in the daytime, and then day 2 will be in the night. And then we go twice around the clock, starting from 2 o'clock Central European time on Saturday afternoon. And we go right the way through until about 2:30 in the morning on Sunday. We will have the pre-race build-up at about 1:30 in the afternoon. We'll be discussing about qualifying. You'll be able to catch up with content that'll be coming up soon in the build-up to qualifying tomorrow afternoon. Some quotes from our guests here tonight in the official free practice and official press conference session. This will happen for every single round of the 2022 GTR24H Endurance E-Racing World Championship. Roland Zooks heading towards the line in the number 67. And at the moment is now on an official hot lap, so Roland Zooks will ride on board with the BMW. You can see the revs going up and down, the speed increasing and decreasing, the LED lights showing up on the dashboard, and obviously when you hit the rev limiter it all flashes a bit red. It lights up like a Christmas tree at the top. You can also see the rear camera, so just giving an idea with the grid, and also seeing how close other cars are in proximity. Roland Zooks heading through into the second Degner, a little bit of camber to the right hand side, and now over across the curbing, now heading towards turns 10 and 11. It's going to be hard on the brakes from fourth, right the way down the gearbox into first, full lock on, 70 kilometers an hour, and then powering out up to second, now up to third, hit the rev limiter through fourth, 200 kilometers an hour. It's going to be fifth gear, probably the best part of just nearly 150 miles an hour, heading into the braking zone for Spoon. Down the gears once again, through into third, 145, wrestling with the back end of the BMW, powering out of the corner. And now the approach up to 130R, and the best lap from this car is the best lap so far is a 1 minute 56.729. And Roland Zooks flooring it through, pinned at 240 kilometers an hour in fifth gear through 130R, down to first through the Casio triangle. And now it's about committing, making it precise, applying the power at the correct time, and out of the final corner. Let's see what Roland Zooks does this time. And it is, I think, just looking there, last lap was a 1 minute 57.090, so just over 3/10. Oh! Back end steps out going through the first corner. You can see how hard they're pushing. They're really pushing the envelope of these cars, going through the respective tight and technical twisty sections. Here at Matsusaka. You see, even I've done it. That was completely unintentional. My words get away from me. Here's now here's the Cyberlinks car, which is just pulled over to the side. It's the number 82 Mugen sim racing car in GT3. Moves past as that was one of the. We're going to have a little bit of a replay here. Oh, Mugen and Satellite. Satellite loses the back end. Right hand side goes into the barriers, and luckily enough, the 67 Mugen sim racing car manages to get through. Not too sure who that was, so wondering if that might have been Adam State, who's been out in the car. He's set a best effort of a 1 minute 58.748 thus far. But ladies and gentlemen, we're at the top of the hour, pretty much. So we're going to go to a brief commercial break. We'll be right back after these important messages. Just stay tuned. The 2022 Endurance E-Racing World Championship brought to you in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriot, Azatec Sim Sports, Global Flix, Motorvision.tv, Stengolm, ESTV, and Film Vault Limited.
A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here with continuing coverage. We're into the second hour of our official free practice session and also official pre-race press conference for the 12 hours of Matsusaka, the opening round of the 2022 GTR24H Endurance E-Racing World Championship. Good to see Kieran McGinley asking if his seat's warm when it's right next to me on the right hand side. And I'll be honest with you, Kieran, I've got a little bit of a prop here. Headset I no longer wear here in the studio. That's keeping it warm. I don't know whether it might be a bit frigid or ice cold. It has been snowing just outside the studio earlier on today. So we'll see you when you get here tomorrow, good buddy. Looking forward to catching up with you and Yusuf tomorrow. Good to see Nick Newcomb getting involved in the chat. I'm going to speak to him in about 25 minutes time. We're about 10 minutes away from our first interviewee after John Fabricius Terrell, the CEO of GTR24H. Good to see Vinicius de Oliveira dos Santos cheering on Alessio Neto. So is Vinicius Ritter as well. Jonas Steiberg saying, go Viaduct, and going to be great to drive with the team after the long winter break. One of the young drivers at Team Viaduct, a new livery for 2022. And John Fabricius very much hands-on and had a little bit of input from me. Viaduct and had a very, very body in white livery last year with a big orange fin, I think, or red, depending on the colour variation. As here is the 241 Cyber Lynx car making its way into the pit lane. And there is the Maradnas car. Oh, bit of an off-track moment, though, for the 166 car. That is ID Sim Sports. And who's behind the wheel of that? Michael Pedersen, who's actually leading the class at the moment, has put in a 1 minute 56.8. Fastest in the first sector is João Barbosa, who we saw earlier on in the session. Nick, you better get ready for your interview very, very soon. Good to see Tony Janssen, part of the Juices crew. Good to see Maria Rinak from Glam Racing getting involved in the chat as well. A big thank you to you all for being part of the championship once again, as it's all getting very, very interesting indeed. How we see what... And typical Maria, I had to... no comment on that one as... right, ID SimSport off the track. And using the runoff area after the Casio triangle. And now the car comes into pit lane. See now there's João Barbosa showing his second. Now ID SimSport showing his fourth. I'm wondering if the 1 minute 56.8, I'm not too sure. Did I tell about the full entry list? Well, I'm going to enlighten you all now, because here are the teams that are going to be competing. We'll have some graphics probably in the run up to qualifying. So DPI, the following cars have entered. Team Viaductin in the 1, Sem9 Axel in the 11, Burst Esports Simplexity in the number 15, Unison Racing in the, well, Burst Esports Simplexity actually is in the number 18, my apologies there, if memory serves me correctly, because we did have to ask Jesper Pedersen, because that car, the number 15, is already occupied by Deuces Motorsport Club. Unison Racing will be in the 17. Team Adrenaline, the Swiss outfit, will be in the number 33. And Maradnas E-Stars in the number 64. Turning our attention to LMP2. Team Iris will be running in apparently the number 7, I believe. Juices Motorsport Club in the number 15. There's one of the cars that's competing That is the number 94 for Burst eSport Gooder sunglasses. E-Team Brit, a lot of changes behind the scenes. I have been officially informed by the team themselves that they will be deferring their entry until round 2 of the championship, which will be next month. We'll give you further news on that, as there have been some developments at the squad E-Team Brit itself. 79 Axel, number 21, Satellite Racing. First of their 2 cars will be the 164 that have Liam Rance, Ryan Nash, Marco Slanzi and Nello Pastorino behind the wheel. And then it's Cyberlinks Racing from Russia in the 241, led by Alexei Zagorodnev, Tigran Mkhitaryan, Dima Korsh from the Ukraine, and Andrei Yalenko. GTE, we have MCM Motorsport in the 27 Aston Martin. Then it's 3 successive Porsches in a row. 1 for the 45 of DIS SR Lab. Then we have 2 from MPE in the 53 and the 54. The 53 being the defending champions from last season. Could they make it 3 this year? Time will only tell. Mugen Sim Racing in the 67 BMW. The Juices Motorsport, a Club Academy car in the number 74 Aston Martin. ID Simsport also running in an Aston Martin. So that's 3 cars out of the... it's 3 cars to Porsche, 3 cars to Aston Martin. Satellite Racing, the Corvette C8R, currently used in the World Endurance Championship and also the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. And Unison Racing jumping into big old beefy, the BMW M8. So following in the fashion of Mugen Sim Racing, but probably decided that at their own behest. CKR makes it one of 3 McLarens on the grid in the 720S GT3 in the GT3 class, with B32 Racing and Mugen Sim Racing, last year's GT3 runners-up in the championship. Telefonion come back in the 188 and go with the BMW. Then it's 2 Audis with Glam Racing in the 404 and Volante Racing by Azatec Simsport in the 585. With DSR Gadgetus.Deco in the 777, they go in the Corvette, the Callaway Corvette C7R. So that is the cars that will be running in this championship. Obviously, we may have some additions. There will be some special events coming up later on this year. Of course, the 24 hours of the Nürburgring Nordschleife will be here, back once again, and can Burst Esports come back and win it in the way that they did for the last couple of times? We'll find out when we get to that point. So we head to a lot of action out on track, a lot of cars out on circuit at the moment. Just keeping an eye on it. Yep, the quite a few out there. And there is the number 64 car. That looks to be piloted by Lorenzo De Curtis. Who's currently sitting... Well, you can see there that there's triplicates. There's triplets for Unison Racing in that car. So it's going to be quite fascinating how this practice session unfolds. And we are getting to within the next few moments. We'll be speaking to our next guest very, very soon indeed, once I have the notification. And Nick Newcomb's right, okay, I think I'm just going to send a couple of messages actually. I think we might have our next guest. Let's see if we can get him in. Let's bring in Burst Esports Simplexity's Mitchy Hoyer, if we can. So Mitchy, I'm trying to... Well, how are things over at Burst Esports? All good?
now I found my button to unmute.
You were on push to talk, were you, Mitchy?
No, I wasn't, but automatically muted to get joined into the room, so yeah.
Well, good to have you with us. Good to see Burst Esports, led by Jesper Pedersen, bringing 2 cars into the fold. You're running in the DPI, I understand, the number 18 car. As always, your record speaks for itself. GT Pro race, Season 4 race winner. You've been running 3rd in multiple different championships. You've done the Formula Pro Series, Formula Sim Racing, amongst others. What was the attraction for Burst to jump into the deep end here at the Endurance E Racing World Championship? Because you guys are two-time GTR24 Nürburgring Nordschleife winners, especially with Jone Simoncic, pulling the rabbit out of the magician's hat in qualifying last year.
Yeah, like, you know, at Burst Esport, like, we want to obviously compete on the highest level, and esport in general has just picked up the pace due to the corona pandemic a lot. So as much as there were losers around the world and people that have been hurt and been harmed a lot by it, there were also winners, just like Burst Esports, just like Sim Racing, all the esport organization itself. And well, our motivation obviously is always to compete at the top and always to be present in the top esport competitions and the top esport championships. And so we try to occupy as many cars as we can throughout the year, trying to split up and use our resources. And yeah, eventually, after we've been part of the GTR24 hours last time in Viborg, I think 2019 that was, and majorly successful there with the GTE. Yeah, we joined the full season now.
Yeah, I think you know, it's been really good speaking to Rasmus, who heads up the social media management side of things, and also from Jesper himself. Obviously, you're partnering with him. Jone Simoncic is in the car as well. Yeah. Is that for the season that you guys are going to be championing the DPI, or is it going to switch a little bit between LMP2? Is it going to be dependent on circuit, or do you guys have a game plan? Are you going to stick to a driver lineup per car all the way through the season with the 6 circuits we've got?
But generally, I think it's planned to just stick with the cars, like the lineups we've just now posted should be the lineups that are being used for the season. Like, obviously we run in a different endurance league with the same cars and literally the same lineups. So basically we capitalize on that experience and put the people that are driving the car around the year, like the same time, putting them in the same car. So from that point of view, it makes common sense to just stick with the lineups and with the drivers that we choosing to drive the DPI and and the LMP2. However, of course, during the season, if there is the need or demand or somehow the necessity to shuffle drivers around, perhaps also just because of a clash of calendars, like I think there are at least 2 or 3 races where calendar is a bit interesting for the Burst guys, as having multiple league races on a single weekend. There may potentially be the opportunity or the need and desire to swap drivers around, but for the current situation, it's not planned.
Yeah, there's a hell of a lot of sim racing that's sort of sprung its evil head, so to speak, over the last 2 years, and sim racing, as you said, is on the rise. Obviously, Burst is very much aligned with Bike-Ollers as its esports arm, and you know, to see now we've got Daniel Murad joining in with Murad E-Stars. We've also got Alex Young. You know, it just goes to show how much that sort of like misty, cloudy barrier between sim racing and real life racing has sort of vaporized into the distance. And a lot of drivers, you know, when we saw like the Race All Stars, I know that Jone was competing in that as well with a lot of professional drivers. Romain Grosjean, who now has his own esports team, you know, Fernando Alonso, amongst others. Even Tom Coronel, I think, even got into it, and even Sebastian Vettel decided to turn his hand at it as well. What does this mean to you as a sim racer? But also, for those that do know Mitchie, you do stream on a regular basis a point of view, which we know that you and I have already discussed. We're going to get that done, and you're going to provide a 12-hour stream on your own channels for a perspective, just to give the fans out there, you know, something to showcase for what Burst Esport does, and they're very, very heavily involved in social media. So I'm really pleased that we've been, you know, you and I personally have been discussing on Discord, and now we can actually talk face to face, so to speak. That it's going to be quite a good way to get the fans involved, isn't it?
100%. I mean, it's a big opportunity, as you've mentioned, like esport and all that streaming and the also the mean and the value of sim racing in the motorsport world has greatly increased due to the corona pandemic. I mean, back then it was, I don't know, we had the Australian Grand Prix in F1 just cancelled back then in 2020, and in less than 48 hours later we had the eSport All-Star event with Max Verstappen at the wheel as well. So that was an incredible kickstart, and then the 2020 year was extremely busy. 2021 was even more busy, and now, as you say, we're speaking about the point where sim racing and the esport is a big part of the motorsport concept, even in FIA thinking. And to come back on the question, like what I take away from that, it's just you have to say that Le Mans Virtual 2020. That is my personal moon landing. I may sound a bit weird now, just disclaimer up front, but when I was back then 15, 16 years old, I was like, what if I could get so good in a sim, and like the sim actually being recognized by the people in the real world, that you would be running against a Fernando Alonso or against a Jenson Button or whatnot, like, you know, to compete against the heroes of your childhood, kind of, so to say.
Yeah,
and then it happened.
I know.
It happened.
I know. The funny thing is, never in my wildest dreams as a commentator, you know, who had the opportunity through what has happened across the globe over the last 18 months, 2 years, to make that switch. And you see a lot of people that have made the switch the other direction. They've gone from sim racing to also work on real life commentary. It just goes to show that the, you know, Alice's Wonderland, you know, Pandora's box has been opened, and it's actually really, really flourished. And when people like saying, you know, like Alex Buncombe, Jenson Button, I've commentated on those drivers. That I've actually interviewed Jenson as well post-race when he got a top 3. So from someone who was watching Formula One like in the late 2000s to then being commentating on him, it's quite a surreal experience. But, you know, as you say, like having those moon landing moments is just showing how, you know, I think a lot of people say that real life motorsport and sim racing, sim racing will replace it. I think, you know, they're very, very good comrades in arms, that you get the best of both worlds. Wouldn't you agree, Mitchie?
I would 100% agree with it. You cannot, like, a very long time I compare sim racing and real racing to become some kind of identical. Like, I mean, let's face it, whatever an F1, they have their engineers, they have the media person. We do have them in the sim. We do our Motec stuff, they do their Motec stuff, and so it is a very, very close and very similar environment. The only thing that we're lacking is the big costs, the travel stress, travel expenses, travel problems perhaps, and obviously no G-forces for the drivers. But apart from those 3 things, I think sim racing and real racing is pretty much the same thing. You can always argue about whether the simulators are displaying the cars like they are in real life, and obviously you are not limited in terms of tire usage yet because it's no feature on R-Factor 2. But at the end of the day, the key problem is the very same that you try to fix for every race. How do I go quick, consistent, and fastest way overall by exploiting whatever techniques I do have? Like in F1, you know, you build semi-legal cars or whatever to gain the advantage over the competitor. In sim racing, everything is same, so you gain the advantage by trying to put your knowledge and your driving skills and abilities to exploit whatever works on the car or not. So in that perspective, I think sim racing and real racing are very close together, but still separate things.
Well, Mitchie Hoyer from Burst Esports Simplexity, the number 18 DPI entry. Mitchie, wishing you and all the crew at Burst Esports, not just in DPI but LMP2, the very best of luck in qualifying tomorrow night, and enjoy the rest of the free practice.
Many thanks. Likewise. Thank you.
So a big thank you to Mitchie Hoyer. Hopefully we might be getting another guest in very, very shortly. But as you can see, we're with the Academy car from the Deuces Motorsport Club, the number 74, piloted once again by João Barbosa, currently running P3 in the session at the moment as things stand. So just going to be informed as to when our next guest will be ready and be able to talk with me. But João Barbosa still rounding out the top 3. Just a quick update on the practice times at the moment. Henry Sinek still leading in DPI in the Maradnis E-Stars car. That's the number 64. 1 minute 44.622. Hasn't really been challenged, but it is a little bit close. Looks like it was an invalidated lap time for Denisashenko, who's put in a personal best of a 148.152. There is Joao Barbosa, as that is the 164 Satellite Racing LMP2 car out on the circuit. So Joao having to keep out of the way, and it's down to not just the driver seeing that the car's coming past, but it's also down to the faster car to actually make the clean pass around the outside, because sometimes that will be an incident that will be investigated by race control. Obviously at the moment this is just sort of for the drivers to get a real taste of the circuit, get an understanding. We have got a yellow out in sector number 1, I believe. Not too sure who that might be, so I'll just have a quick scan through. Can't really see anybody at the moment who's had any major dramas, but at the moment Lorenzo De Cutis is not too far away from completing another lap in the number 64 car. And then looking at LMP2, turn lower, still leading the way in that session, and the gap has closed quite considerably because Damian Skovron from Burst Esport Guru Sunglasses is just over 3/4 of a second behind in terms of the times itself. And then we have Rasmus Andreasen running at the top 3. GTE, and it's Angel Banegas, 1 minute 56.6 for the number 27 MCM Motorsport Aston Martin. Michael Pedersen looks to be in second, Joao Barbosa showing as third, and between the top 3 it's less than 0.4 of a second, so it's very, very close indeed between them. And you can see Joao Barbosa there, very, very concentrated as the car has pulled into the pits. So just waiting for a response from our next guest. Hopefully very soon we'll have that person in. There's a lot to divulge. We've got a lot of action coming up. And I'm just responding to one of our community on Discord at the moment, multitasking. Don't know if I can do that really. But the good thing is now that Joao Barbosa, I think, might be heading out onto the circuit once again, and is currently out as we speak. So looking through, so Angel Banganas from MCM Motorsport in the 27 leading the way, Michael Pedersen and Joao Barbosa, that's your top 3. And still at the moment, Alessio Neto, 9,600 plus kilometres away from our server, and has gone fastest of anybody so far, as Barbosa going down the back stretch, heading through in towards 130. Yellows out in sector 2, I might add. Let's see if they're, but that's briefly been retracted. So it is a Brazilian 1-2 at the moment, with Alessio Neto leading the way in GT3 for Volante Racing by Azatec Sim Sports. Leandro Vela for Brazil in the number 13 CKR McLaren 720S GT3 is second, and is only 0.43 off the top time. Alexander Zeka completes the top 3 and is 2.118 seconds off of his teammate in terms of the performance side of things for the lap times here. So as soon as we get our next guest in, you know what? We're heading up to 1/2 the hour. We're going to go to a brief commercial break. We'll be right back after these messages. Don't touch that dial. The 2022 Endurance E-Racing World Championship brought to you in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriot, Azatec Sim Sports, Global Flix, Motorvision.tv, Sten Goldman, ESTV, and Film Vault Limited.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.
I just got the thumbs up. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to continuing coverage. We're now at the halfway point of the official free practice session and also the official press conference ahead of the 12 hours of Matsusaka, the first and opening round of the 2022 Endurance E-Racing World Championship here at GTR24H. And in around about 15, probably just under 15 minutes time, we'll be speaking to our next guest. We have got a couple more scheduled for the latter part of, well, this second half of this particular practice session, and then we're going to qualifying from 7 PM Central European time for qualifying 1 for the first round of the championship, with myself, Alex Goldschmidt and Chris Buxton on official commentary duty. And then for the second half we'll be joined by Yusuf bin Sahil and Kieran McGinley, who will be probably not that far, well, not that long, having jumped off the plane and headed over here to the studios itself. Good to see that the banter's well alive in the chat. John Fabricius saying I'm trying to lose weight in 2030. And thank you very much, Maria Rinak from Glam Racing. If I do see him eating that cake in front of me, I will completely blank him and then wait and say, where's my piece? And then Yusuf and Kieran will be wondering, where on earth's ours? I thought you were going to save some for us. So, Denis Sashenko out on the circuit. The car currently running in P3 at the moment, in the hypercar class, currently on a 1 minute 46.215. Looking at the top times, oh, yellow in sector 2 ever so briefly. So 145.9 in the top of the LMP2 cars, and it's the best part of nearly 1.4 seconds ahead in terms of the DPI. So the DPI showing the power that it has. around this circuit, and we're now going to have a look to see if we can give you an idea of the times at the moment. So just bear with us. We are trying to get this all sorted out, but the practice session will still continue on its way. You can see drivers making their way out onto the circuit here at Matsusaka. And there is a yellow out in sector number 3 as well. That's been briefly retracted. So that might have meant that there was a significant incident, and the car that was involved returned to garage. Here's Lorenzo De Curtis in the number 64 Maradnus E-Stars car, coming out of the hairpin through into the next sweeping right-hander. Now heading into the double left spoon. And tight on the apex, runs the car wide on the power. There is another yellow out in sector number 1 as we speak. DeCutis flings it in at 130R, fully committed there for the number 64. And I think it was Unison Racing that brought out the yellow flag there. Here is Cameron Roger, one of the 5 driver crew for Burst E Sport Gooder Sunglasses in the 94 car. That car currently showing up as P3 at the moment. Denis Sashenko, 3rd in LMP in the DPI class for Unison Racing. Hopefully in about 10 minutes time we'll have a chat with our next guest. And that was Lorenzo De Curtis having a bit of a moment there in the number 64. And oh, hang on, there we go. Glam's on track, there it is. I've just spotted it. A lesser spotted Glam Racing Audi. There we go. Just found it. Coming down the back stretch behind this gaggle of cars here. There you go. Glam Watch, Maria. Glam Watch is on. That car is currently being, well, it's just had the 164 satellite racing car go around the outside of it through the chicane. Also, you can see some of the drivers having their cameras on, just to give you a bit of an aspect of what goes on behind the wheel. We've got, well, Gert Nielsen was out on there as such, in terms of the 188 Teleforingen. And turn lower in the number 77 car from Team Iris. Is still leading the way in the LMP2 class. And that is by a considerable margin. You can just see there's a lot going on behind the scenes here. A lot of hard work that's gone into getting things ready for 2022. Great to see so many of these cars out on track. Right, okay, let's go to our next guest. Turn lower from Team Iris. Can you hear me? Fingers crossed. See if we can. So, Turn, if you can hear me, you'll need to unmute your microphone so we can actually hear you.
Oh yeah, that's a good thing.
So, Turn Lawyer Hohenavond, as they would say in the Netherlands. Very good evening. Running with Juices last year, you decided to go your separate ways, and now you've started up Team Iris. Car already in free practice, looking very, very quick indeed. You've got a great crew with you as well. What was the impetus of deciding to go off on your own, get your own team, and go for some success here in the EEWC?
It's not really my team. It's from Jeff, who's really managing, but I'm doing the GTR part. But because of time issue with my study and other things in life, so I was like, just get a bit more free time and just have a nice environment with Team Iris for like just a lot of friends around and just have fun during the races.
I think that's one of the biggest things about sim racing, isn't it, Ton? Because as much as we like the competition, we want to be within an atmosphere with a team that really fits well together, gels well together. How's the preparation been in the winter time amongst all the studying and getting everything ready for this year?
It's been really good. The setup was quite ready already for the race weekend, so we had some really good sessions. So I think we are really ready for it.
And also the track here at Matsusaka, very, very challenging in its own right. You've got to have a bit of bravado, a bit of guts, a bit of precision, especially like going through 200R through into the two Degnas. You don't want to smack it into the barriers by going a bit too wide when you're dropping down the gears from 4th to 2nd, hitting the apex, making sure it runs just wide enough so you can keep it pinned on the throttle. What's the biggest challenge for you guys at Team Iris here at Matsusaka? What's the biggest challenge apart from like maybe say 130R, of course?
I think turn 1 is pretty tricky with the LMP2. The rears of the brakes can lock quite easily. And then if you go under the curb, you basically are a passenger and just go straight on.
No, that's fair enough. And obviously with the rest of the team, I see that Loic Muniz joined the team as well. Another quick driver in his own right. How's the camaraderie between all four drivers? Because there are a couple of names that I know that Bensi Horvath is a name I recognise. Forgas is another one that I don't, but how did it all come together? Was it just like you got a message saying, hey, fancy joining us? Want to put together a squad and see how you guys do and give you an opportunity of running a car in what's going to be a really competitive championship? I mean, you know, when you think about it, Alexis Zagorodnev in Cyberlinks is a known quantity. We saw him in action at Juices last year at the Le Mans finale. Burst Esport, I mean, that name needs no introduction. Satellite Racing in there, Deuces, Sem9 Axel, and Sem9 Axel have just come off the back of winning being fourth in their class in the Le Mans 24-hour virtual. There's a lot of talent in this championship, isn't there, in LMP2?
Yep, there is, and we have two, like Benz and Mate was driving for this round. Our two Hungarians were really fast and are with Team Iris already for about half a year now, and it was like, we want to drive GTR, and it's like, okay, I will join you, and Loic also is joining for one round, and we just try to get a good result and also have a lot of fun, because that's what our team is really about. Yeah.
Well, Turn, we'll let you get back to work with the rest of the guys at Team Iris, and fingers crossed for you guys in qualifying for tomorrow, and obviously the the once around the clock race starting at 2 p.m. CET on Saturday afternoon. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us here at GTR24H.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So a big thank you there to Turnlower from Team Iris, one of the new squads here in the LMP2 class. And we will have our next guest with us in just under 20 minutes time. We will have one more to round out the official press conference here at GTR24H. During official free practice, we will go into qualifying tomorrow at 7 p.m. CET. A daytime and a nighttime qualifying session, 2 hours for each session, whereby the fastest in each class will secure the first points of the season. It will be a single solitary point. And there's Mads Hedegaard for DSR. And a big thank you to Peter Munkholm for telling me this, that Gadgethuset means Gadget House. So that's going to be an easy one to remember than trying to pronounce what I see in front. But they've gone with the big old cog on the side. The Callaway Corvette C7 GT3. Brief yellow flag in Sector 1. That's retracted. This car currently sitting 4th in the running order as things stand under the live timing. And João Barbosa, the hard work for the Portuguese driver, has put him top of the timesheets. 1 minute 55.895 for the 74. Oh, Mads Hedegaard. Oh, loses the back end out of Degner 1. Backwards, saves it whilst going in the kitty litter through Degner 2. And return to garage. Oof. It's never a good feeling when that kind of happens out on track. And speaking of turn lower, here he is back out on track. So the yellow in Sector 2 was because of DSR and the 777. No Dream Team or Nightmare anymore. Because we always used to put the boot on the other foot when one was actually having a good day in the office and the other one was having a bad day. Right. As just seen the 54 MPE car just have a little bit of a tussle going through the first corner. And funnily enough, there's a new name. Well, one of many new names at MPE. That's the combination of Musto Pescara Engineering. That's what it stands for. And they have a very, very unique look to the back of their car. And I'm just looking at it now as the car is going through the Degner corners. So we've got the Dolphin on the left-hand side. We've got the We Are One hashtag. This time lower fires it through the first corner. Oh, that was right past the Glam Racing 404. We've got a yellow out in Sector 3. Now another yellow out in Sector 1. Behind the wheel of the 404. That's Lee Russell returning into the fold along with Callum Wilson. And we've got Jakub Kuba Brzezinski and also Kuba. We've got Kuba back and we've also got Henrik Hoyer back as well. And good to catch up with Henrik and Maria earlier on today. Some lovely looking liveries. I mean, this one on... Oh! This turn mower goes a little bit wide coming out of the second Degner. Through into the hairpin. You can just see the way that deep purple sort of like has little flecks. It's like has little colour shifts through the respective camera angles as we are getting towards 9:45 local time in Central Europe. Yellow out in Sector 3. But at the moment, we still have quite a lot happening at the moment with regards to cars circumnavigating their way around this circuit. As Turner straight through 130R, sweeps it in nicely. Now hard on the brakes. Looks to be the Satellite Racing LMP2 car just up ahead. Just got Marco Slanzi behind the wheel. As Turn Lower decides to park the car in the garage. And a big thank you to John Fabricius for sending me some information. He is Deegan Fairclough, currently runs in the Junior Saloon Car Championship, I believe. I did see his picture, courtesy. A big thank you to Eros Masciuli for keeping in touch. He's on co-managerial duties alongside David Greco. David has had a lot happen in the winter period since... Oh, thank goodness that was not a big ouch for Teleforingen there. Whoops. But yeah, Alessio Neto from Brazil. Ping is now at 100 milliseconds. It's pretty good when you think about it. Deegan currently running 7th in GTE at the moment. Track temperature has pretty much stayed the same as João Barbosa. It's the only driver so far in the class to go sub 1 minute 56. So a pretty good showcase of what the Aston Martin is capable of. And Henrik Hoyer actually said a pretty good set. He said, jack of all trades but master of none. Very, very eloquently put, and that just goes to show that a car like the Aston Martin Vantage, the GTE, very different to the GT3 in terms of how it looks. Deacon Fairclough running up towards 2 wheels on the grass down the back straight. Now heading into 130R. How committed is he? 230 kilometers an hour and increasing the speed through the apex in 5th gear. Down into 1st, through into the Casio triangle. And he's done a personal best in his first sector. 44.8, just 1.1 seconds off the pace. Now goes on to a hot lap. We're right on board with Deegan at the moment. Hard on the brakes, through 1st corner. Down from 6th gear, down to 2nd. Into the right-hander. Now through the S's. Now through into the 1st Egner. A lot of steering lock put on there. Through the 2nd Egner, nigh on full lock there. Oh! Catches a bit of a tank slapper, he does. Well held. Through into turn 10, now into 11 at the hairpin. Full lock on once again. And whilst trying to hit the power in the Porsche, the back end, the tyres start to spool up a little bit, and then all of a sudden, to overcorrect. Through into 200R now. To the left-hander. Swoops the car as far wide to the right as possible, out of the corner and down the back stretch. Through into the Casio triangle. Into the left, into the right now, into the left. And now Deegan heads across the line. What's the time going to be? Shows a 1 minute 58.4 on the speedo, on the dash display there. To be the best lap from the car. So we head back out on track. Funny enough, I've got 2 satellite cars running line astern going through into the final corner as we see the number 64 of Muradna's E-Stars out on track. Looks to be Lorenzo Di Curtis running in that car. 1 minute 46.029. But Henry Cynic, that Estonian is a known quantity here in GTR24H racing circles. I still remember when him and Martin Hemmingson were quite literally joined at the wheel rim, because both of them absolutely showcased what they're capable of in a McLaren Senna. They've done exactly the same thing last year in the Le Mans finale. Here's Adam State in the 264 Satellite Racing C8R Corvette. Fantastic looking machine in its own right. Liking the livery here. It's very different seeing screenshots of the liveries, but seeing them in action out on the circuit, on the server itself. Here's something completely different. Lovely shot here coming through the left-hander, as there is a yellow out in Sector 2, which has been retracted. Then we've got, you can see picture in picture, Rasmus Andreasen on your right, Adam State from Satellite Racing on your left. Rasmus now heading through into the next right-hander. Adam State heading towards 130R. Fully pinned as well thereof. Sweeping the car round wide to the outside. Hard on the brakes, down the gears, through the gearbox. Rasmus Andreasen also firing it through on all cylinders through 130R. And into the chicane now, through out of the final corner comes the 94 from Burst Esport, good of sunglasses. As Artem Shulayev in the number 17 Unison Racing car, the DPI, also heads across the line. Marco Slanzi underneath the bridge, having negotiated his way through the two Degners, as the 585 gets very, very tail happy underneath the bridge. See the two respective vehicles, both from LMP2 on your right and GTE on your left for Satellite Racing. Marco Slanzi's got the Aztec, the Volante Aztec car just up in front, heading down the back stretch. As Artem Shulayev goes through into the next right-hander, through into the hairpin, hard on the brakes, turning it in, rotating the car, and through he goes. Right, well, we're about to hit the top of the second hour of official free practice for the opening round of the 2022 GTR24H Endurance E-Racing World Championship. The opening round, the 12 hours of Matsusaka. And as we're heading towards the top of the hour, we're going to go to a brief commercial break. Stay tuned afterwards, as we'll be going to our very next interview. See you very shortly. The 2022 Endurance E-Racing World Championship, brought to you in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriot, Aztec Sim Sports, Global Flix, Motorvision.tv, Stengolm, ESTV, and Film Vault Limited.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for
just to
Green
give you a
offers
heads
to make
up.
your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.
A very warm welcome back. We're into the final 60 minutes of our official free practice session, and we're coming towards the inevitable conclusion of our official press conference for the opening round of the championship, the 12 hours of Matsusaka, that gets underway at 2 p.m. Central European time this coming Saturday. And what's more, we have a couple more interviews coming up in the latter stages of this one. So effectively, we have a lot of talking to do, and I am waiting to hear when my next guest is in the meeting, because we have 2 more interviews planned over the course of the next half hour. I am waiting for one Nick Newcomb from Juice's Motorsport Club. Oh, we've had a bit of a tussle between the Academy car, the number 74, as Adam Slate hits the barriers on the exit of turn 1. Oh, my goodness me. And into the garage. I think both cars have gone. Yeah, literally very much synchronised. And, yeah, that's a bit of a moment there, let's say. Alessio Neto back out on track. John Fabricius sent me a screenshot showing that his ping is around about 100 milliseconds at the moment, with him being just over 9,600 kilometers away from the server that he is connected to. And Lee Russell has managed to put the Glam Racing 404 into second position, 1 minute 58.197. So it's an Audi 123. Considering the fact that Alexander Zeka is in a doppelganger of this car right here. And there is Alessio in the picture. There we go. I think we might have someone arriving in the driver's chat, hopefully very shortly. Alessio coming across the line. Still keeping that car on top, so some pretty good running from Alessio, based out of Brazil. And it's Durham's own Nick Newcomb in the house. Hello, buddy. How are you? Long time no see. Hopefully. Ah, right. Nick, you need... You need to unmute.
There you go.
There he is. There he is. Hello, buddy. How you doing?
Yeah, how you doing? No, not too bad.
Good to see you, smiling as always with those pearly whites, Nick.
We try, you know. Colgate is a wonder.
That's very true, very true. Good to see the LMP2 GTE plan that you started off with last season is back here at GTR, but you've gone with a little bit of a curveball. You've gone to Aston Martin with the GTE. I need a bit of an explanation on this.
Well, that's basically through testing for the academy guys. We felt that for the academy drivers coming in, just starting off on R-Factor 2, some have got experience in iRacing.
Yeah.
But as you know, crossing the platform is not always the same. Like, if you go from R-Factor to iRacing, or vice versa, which we've got, they'll find that it's a big difference with the grip and the driving style. So we felt the Porsche is a more difficult car to work with, coming straight into it. So we took the Aston Martin, and we've all got some experience in it, mainly in the GT3, but we'll cross over to the GTE, and it's turning out to be a good choice, both for the academy guys and the more seasoned guys in the team.
And also, the number 15 is back after last year, a titanic battle in LMP2 that went right down to the wire at Le Mans last year. We're not going to dwell on. We're not going to dwell on that much, Nick. That's past tense. That's water under the bridge now. October last year is way gone. But now it's time to refocus. I mean, you've got Rui Reis, Sava Kirst and Robert Paul behind the wheel of that car. That's a pretty strong trio, if I don't say so myself.
Yeah, we've got it's a good car. I'm pleased with the way the lineup's going. I'm pleased with the way the practice is going. And we'll give Rasmus a good battle, I think.
What about Turn, though? What about Turn? Because he's gone to Team Iris.
We know Turn. He's we're sad to see him go, but he started with Iris before he came to us. And obviously, after what happened at Le Mans and that, it was a bit difficult. So, and there was other things involved which I don't want to go into as well, which are a bit private. So it was. I think to find himself and get back, he's gone back to Iris because there's a lot of pressure in this induces. Although we'll have a lot of fun and stuff, when you're at this sort of like higher level, it's more intense, and the practice sessions are quite high. And I think it's a different mindset.
Yeah.
You've got to be prepared to put in the miles, and the race is just the end product. Everything else before that has been done.
I mean, even though we've got a more compact LMP2 field like we had last year, there's still a big depth of character and personalities, but also very, very quick drivers, juices notwithstanding. I mean, Satellite have brought an LMP2 car into the mix this time around with Liam Rance, Ryan Nash, Marco Slanzi and Nello Pastorino. But I think at the end of the day, you guys are now... you have that opportunity to not prove yourselves, because you guys have proved yourselves time and time again. It's just going out there, making it consistent all the way through the season, isn't it? Yeah,
I think it juices. I think we'll put more pressure on ourselves to carry the name, because the badge and the name carries a lot of weight behind it, and so it's about continuing that legacy. So every driver that comes in is shown the history, the achievements, some like pictures and screenshots from the past, and obviously, like last year, the last 3 races, I think that legacy was continued, because we won the last 3 races, and 2 of them were 24, so that's pretty good going, I think.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, how's the team feeling coming into the first round? We've got a different calendar this year, Nick. You know, we've got Matsusaka this month, Monza. We go back to Sebring in April, and then we have a little bit of a breather before heading south of the border to Interlagos, and then Spa and Le Mans, both 24-hour races. It's a good mix, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good season. I think obviously 12 hours. We can handle that with just the 3-driver squad, so you'll probably see different drivers in each race, maybe. And then the full squad will turn out for the 24. So we've got the depth and the drivers to manage that without losing any skill or speed within the cars. I think the depth of the squad is pretty high, so we can take on a couple of challenges which are coinciding with each race at the beginning of the season here. So, you know, we're not overly confident, but we're confident in our ability to drive a good race and the trust to set up. And then anything can happen in the endurance event. You know, somebody might have a spin in front of you and take you out. Like we saw what can happen with the burst car, lap 1, turn 3, I think it was at Le Mans. So, you know, from having a chance at the championship, it was taken away not by their own fault. We don't have to about that to happen.
One final question before we let you go, Nick. How's the DJing going? Because you've gotten back out into that full swing. I think every time we've talked, it's madder than a box of frogs at the minute, isn't it? With the amount of gigs you're doing, and also with the amount of work that Juices are doing with multiple championships. Yeah,
like I'm juggling a bit, but I don't mind. I've got I've got residency every weekend. So, and then the first festival is the last weekend in April. And the last one I'm doing is the second week in September. And then I've got a weekend busman's holiday. I'm going to see Dexter's Midnight Run out at Newcastle City Hall. So
oh well,
that's my year taken up.
How is, they say.
I'll meet him in a field somewhere in Britain. So, you know what I mean? Just put your Google map on to find me. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, just as long as you give me the latitude, the latitude and the longitude coordinates, mate, I'll find you.
I'll tell you what's quite fun though. I'll finish my gig, we'll have a few drinks, and then I go back to the tent and I pop my chair up and get a bottle of vodka out or a bottle of rum or something. And I put the laptop on and I'm watching the race from somewhere in the middle of nowhere. That's great, like, and I'm logging in and talking to the chaps. So I'm never that far away. I'm watching on my phone. Yeah. It's like I saw one of the wins on my phone, and it was just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So we'll love it. You know what I mean? So I'm busy all the time. So but I'm always keeping one eye on the squad because you know, Juices is where it's at. As we
brilliant. Well, Nick, thank you very much, mate. Good to catch up with you. We'll talk very soon. Good luck to both the teams here this weekend.
Yeah, thank you. And I just want to say good luck to everybody. And I'm looking forward to the GT battle, and I'm definitely looking forward to the P2 battle with Burst, Iris, Mugen. I think it's going to be good fun to watch. It's going to be close. And watch qualifying tomorrow.
Indeed. Thanks a lot, Nick Newcomb, Juices Motorsport Club. We'll let you get back to it, buddy.
See you later.
So a big thank you to Nick there from Juices Motorsport. Conrad Bayer, stop. He's messaging me at the moment. My goodness. Yeah, and Claudio, I'm not publishing the first word that you put in the chat. And you know what, John? I'm going to be paid overtime for this, wanting to extend We Love Sim Racing. Well, John, you can get yourself back in here for a bit of commentary as well. Rasmus Andreasen now up into second position in LMP2. Yeah, the good thing is that we're getting a real gauge of how everyone's feeling coming into this season. And yeah. John, yeah, I think I might need a rest. I've been going for quite a bit of time. Well, we are going to finish in about close to 3/4 of an hour from now, once free practice is concluded, and I think very shortly we will hopefully have We'll have our final interviewees of the official press conference for the 12 hours of Matsusaka round 1 out of 6 for the GTR24H Endurance E-Racing World Championship. Thank you very much for everyone that has continued to tune in at the moment. And I'm going to be completely honest here, I've just noticed something. A big thank you to those people that have made it for GTR24H to go over the 1,000th subscriber mark on the YouTube channel. So a big thank you to whoever's hit the like button there. That's very, very much appreciated as well. So, right. So we might be getting our interview underway very, very shortly. Hopefully we might be able to have our final guest. And maybe I think there's going to be 2 guests at this particular moment. So I'm just waiting for the thumbs up from Broadcast HQ, Production Central. As we see Michael Ciccolini behind the wheel of the DSR Gadgethuset.Decor car. That's the Callaway Corvette. And there's Carl Lickergaard in the other one. Oh, that was a close call. He managed to save it. Puts out the yellow in Sector 1. Maria Rinhak, I will be enjoying that lemon drizzle cake a little bit later on once we've finished the broadcast here at GTR24H HQ. Yumi Nisula out on track in the number 64 Maradness E-Stars car. So hopefully, as soon as I get the word or I see something change on the screen, so I'm actually waiting for our 2 drivers from Team Adrenaline, Arturas Mazaitis, and I think Sebastian Deville will be joining us as well. Let's just see. Let's just wait and find out. I am waiting with anticipation. I do see. And there we have.
One.
Good evening, Arturas Mazaitis from Team Adrenaline.
Hello.
Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, nice to see you two guys again after some time.
I know it's been a while since October, since the Le Mans finale, since we last spoke, wasn't it?
Yeah, we can say that. We can definitely say that. But yeah, we enjoyed the vacation, and yeah, we're looking into starting this season. Yeah.
And also,
not sure about my colleague Sebastian.
Yes, I am here.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, okay.
I don't have any camera, so.
Okay. We're going to have to go old school audio in that one.
Yeah. I have only an old picture when I was young.
Way back when, Sebastian, I take it. But Arturas, I'll come to you first. It was a real pleasure having you guys with us for the EEWC Le Mans finale last year. You know, you guys managed to get the car home. You've got Romain Senior joining the team after, obviously, the travesty that hit his region where he was staying. Good to see that he's back on the team. How has preparation been with the 33 crew heading into this season?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, we definitely had some challenges. Well, yeah, first of all, the good thing is Romain is now with us after his performance in Le Mans, and actually, yeah, after he shown interest to participate, we just had to say yes, and we're really glad he's going to be joining us and he's willing to participate seriously with us. As for the participation, yeah, we are facing some challenges, I guess, some internal challenges, like, yeah, also discussing about the setups. I think we still haven't found the optimal setup, but yeah, I think right now we're settling on whatever we have and just trying to get used to it. You know, we can always improve, but I think, yeah, we have already reached a good level on what the setup yeah, is supposed to be like for this track. But yeah, in the meantime, we had some different opinions as well on what the setup should go like and what direction we should develop in. Yeah, maybe we would wish, of course, to have a little more speed. That's always welcome, but I think we should be feeling comfortable during this race with our setup and the way the car behaves on this track. So yeah, I think the preparations are going so far well. We still have a lot of to-dos, I think, up until the race, but yeah, so far I think we are on good track. Well, we are of course managing our own expectations, so yeah, it's not like we have the highest expectations, but we do expect to go, little by little, going maybe up and trying to challenge the other teams at some point.
I mean, Sebastian, let's turn to you. There's a lot of big hitters: Burst Esport, Maradnus E-Stars, Unison Racing moving up to DPI. I mean, what are your thoughts on the competition that Team Adrenaline is going to have to face this year, Sebastian?
First, I will just apologize for my English because it's I have a bad English, so I may have not good words. So can you just repeat slowly the question first?
Yeah.
So I'm sure I understand well.
That's fine. There's a lot of strong competition in DPI. We have Burst Esports, Maradnus E-Stars, we have Unison Racing, and also Sem 9 Axel competing in DPI. It's not going to be easy for you guys at Team Adrenaline because there are a lot of competitive drivers. But I would imagine that the motivation for you guys at Team Adrenaline is to move forward, progress, and maybe hopefully battle with them at points during the season. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, so I will answer you that way. We are first here to have fun. It's the first thing for us to have fun. Yes, we are certainly here also for the competition. So yeah, we will try to at first finish the race. I think it will be just the first victory for us to finish the race, and then if we can have some some competition, some good fair race on the track, it's just a plus. We would just want to have fun here, to drive fairly, correctly, and finish the race. That's, I think, the main point here.
Yeah, that's a very, very good answer there. That's filled with modesty, Sebastian. Arturas, let's go back to you. With regards to the learning that you guys as a team have done over the off season, what's been the biggest challenge apart from the setup? Is it just getting through, crossing the T's, dotting the I's, making sure everything's prepared as best you can be? I know you said about the setup that you're still trying to find those little bit of tweaks here and there just to get the best out of it.
Yeah, well, obviously we don't want to reveal everything, right? Also to the other teams, but yeah, I will just hint on that I think a big part of the preparation is always looking back into the mistakes that we have made also in the past, and what we can improve, what we can build on, and where basically we lost most during our last races. So looking back into it, we are actually trying to also identify the points during the race, which help us to perform better or less. And there are just so many things, so many details actually to identify in the whole preparation, to everything that matters. It's not just driving, it's not just plain driving. It's a long race. It requires also thinking of how it will go, what situations you will go into, what's everything you need, in what situations you need to prepare for, and things like that. So I think it's really identifying the correct things and what we can expect and what can happen to us during the race and what we need to be prepared for. So that's, I think, always the challenge, but hopefully, as the season progresses, we will also learn from these races, because I think it's going to be pretty stable. The races will be in a similar format, and etc. So I think, this should give us at least, a steady learning curve, because we will be able to, try to not do the same mistakes in the upcoming races, and learn if we make mistakes, learn from them in the future as well.
And hope we have no disconnection.
Yeah, and
until now we never had a race without disconnection, so we hope once it can happen that we not have this.
Pretty much, that's also and we're thinking if there's anything we can do about that too. So we're thinking about that too. But it's some things are just really hard to resolve. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to throw one final question. It is for the pair of you. We've got a great calendar this year. We've got Matsusaka, we've got Monza, Sebring, Interlagos, Spa-Francorchamps, and of course the season finale at Le Mans. How exciting, Sebastian, if you would like to answer first, how exciting is it to have a really, really good calendar of tracks that are well established in motorsport?
Yeah, I mean, it's very exciting. All those tracks are just awesome. For me, I especially like Spa-Francorchamps. It's one of my favorite tracks. I also like Monza. Sebring, I have to say, it's not a track I have driven a lot on it, so it will be, I think, hard for us to just be well on this track, and it will be a thing to test. Then Interlagos, it's a track I only know to drive with Formula 1, so driving on this track with another car, it will be a challenge also, so but it's awesome. All those tracks I think are awesome, so it will be a good challenge for us to manage improving this car on every tracks. They are also very different. There are aero track, other tracks that are speed tracks without aero, so it will be fun to test the settings and the setups on all those tracks, and trying to improve our driving skills and also the feeling of the car with the setup.
And Arturas, what's your feeling on the calendar we've got this year then?
Yeah, I'm also really excited, and for all the tracks I've seen. Well, personally, I'll admit I'm not such a huge fan of Monza, like from the way it's, from the track, let's say, layout, but I still enjoy it whenever I'm there, and I think all the tracks have certain differences and something special about that. Like, Monza is this high-speed track, Le Mans is also this high-speed track, Lazardi. And for example, Sebring has this special road surface, I guess, which we don't get in other
like
tracks.
Airport tarmac.
And every track has something special, and I love Spa, so every track has some special track, and it's a great mixture, I think, of everything. And Matsusaka, I think, is a track also quite challenging for us. I think we don't have a lot of experience with aero tracks, and Matsusaka feels like that, so it's going to be really interesting to see how we cope with that. Indeed, as I'm saying, maybe the struggles we've had so far with the setup were because we don't have so much experience with aero tracks like this. So it's really seeing and learning from all of that. But really, the tracks, they're really well picked, admittedly. Sure, everybody maybe has his favorite tracks, which they would like to see on the calendar someday, but nevertheless, I think the tracks that we have, I'm very excited about that, and so is the whole team.
And I have to said also about that. I'm a little bit afraid about Interlagos and also Monza, who are the tracks. They are not so long. I mean, in distance. So to be like 50 cars and with different categories, manage to pass them the lower category. So I think it will be very, very challenging to be so many on a little track. So it's I'm a little bit afraid about that, but it will be a good challenge.
Brilliant. Well, Arturas Mazaitis, Sebastian Deville from Team Adrenaline, thank you very much for joining me. Good luck in qualifying tomorrow evening, guys, and thanks for your time.
Thanks to you.
Bye.
Bye.
So there we go. That's our final 2 interviews, thereby concluding the official press conference for the 12 hours of Matsusaka, the opening round of the GTR24H 2022 Endurance E-Racing World Championship. Just to give you a brief update, as we're going to head into the final hour in just a couple of moments' time, we will be briefly going to a commercial break. But Henry Cynic is the man on a mission. 1 minute 43.832 in the number 64 leads the DPI class in the 64 Maradnis E-Stars car. Watch out for the Estonian tomorrow night in qualifying. Damien Skowron. I'm being directed by production control. I don't know what's going on, but there we go. João Barbosa leads the way in Juice's Motorsport Club in the GTE class. Damien Skowron rounds out the lead in terms of Burst Esport Gura Sunglasses, 1 minute 45.7 at the moment. And then in GT3, well, obviously times have dropped off because people have escaped from the session. They won't be able to escape from the session if the car is not in pit lane, because that will instantly demote them to the bottom of the grid and not register a time. But it was at one point Alessio Neto from Volante Racing by Azatec Sim Sports. Right, without further ado, let's go to a commercial break. We'll be back right after these short messages. The 2022 Endurance E-Racing World Championship brought to you in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriot, Azatec Sim Sports, Global Flix, Motorvision.tv, Stengolm, ESTV, and Film Vault Limited.
A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
Hello, welcome back. Thank you very much for joining us in the final foray of official free practice and the official press conference And now we have a surprise guest, courtesy of GT3. And I'm wondering, can we pick up with the 777 of DSR's Carl Lickergaard? Carl, are you there? Well, we just got an impromptu move over, not through any faults of anybody's in production. Carl, good evening.
Good evening, Alex.
Well, good to see you. Thanks very much for dropping in. I got a Facebook message and a WhatsApp message from John Fabricius saying Carl's in there. We've got to have a chat with him. Firstly, good to see that you guys have come back to the championship, but DSR have gone to GT3 as a solo car entry after what was a very I'm going to say it like it is, Carl. Sorry, I'm not going to mince my words here. It was really, really difficult for both the Dream Team and the Nightmare, because if one was having a nightmare, the other one was absolutely on cloud nine, weren't they, last season?
It was not our best season, no. We had a try in the LMP2, and we think it was a bit too much for us, and we got back to GT3 where we belong, and we'll have a much more nice battle for all of us, in general a nice experience. None of us really settled in the LMP2 cars, but now we'll try again in the GT3 where we placed second the year before last.
Yeah, I think it was really funny because I think the first person I got into contact was, funny enough, your teammate, Michael Ciccolini. And you've got Steven Salsgaard and Matthias Herwig, I think, is on the crew this time. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is, and we have a guy called Massos. He's also on the team, but not registered yet.
I'm sure that'll happen in due course, Carl. But it must be quite nice. Obviously, I've spoken with a few people like Arturas Mazaitis in Team Adrenaline for DPI, Turn Lower in LMP2 for Team Iris. Sim racing is a community, but also it is about having fun, and that's what you guys try to have to do, isn't it? It might be incredibly competitive. I mean, I look at the cars. We've got CKL, we've got B32, Mugen, vice champions from last year. Gert Nielsen and the Motley crew from Teleforingen have come back in the BMW M6 this year. Glam Racing, Maria Henrik and the crew, they're in an Audi, and then we've got Volante Racing by Azatec. It's going to be an interesting championship for GT3 this year, isn't it?
Yeah, we're sure looking forward to it. It looks like we're gonna have a great battle with most of the teams, and of course we hope to be in the top 3 at least. But let's see how it goes on when the race starts Saturday. Yeah,
and qualifying we've got tomorrow. We've got 2 hours of qualifying under daytime, and then we've got the night time as well. It's a very difficult track here at Matsusaka to master. I mean, I have seen that there's been a few moments. I think you had a bit of an off, I think, going through Degna 2, and Michael was trying to keep it on the black stuff. It's not easy, because with a track like this, you've got to have 3 main contributing factors from your driving style. You've got to be precise, especially at the Degnas. You're going from 4th gear at about 180 kilometers an hour down to 2nd through Degna 2. You're trying to turn the car at the same time, and you're trying to commit. You don't want to you want to make sure that you don't hit the barriers. And then you've got the iconic 130R. You've got to have bravery, cojones, precision, all at the same time, haven't you, Carl?
Yeah, and then in an endurance race like this, we have different classes. So especially to the S's, it's gonna be hard for us to give way for the faster classes and them to overtake us safely. We've been in GT3 before, and then we were always swearing at the LMP cars where take it easy, you'll get by at some point. Last year we were so in LMP classes, and we were, oh goddamn GT cars, move aside.
I can tell you, folks, probably the air was a hell of a lot bluer than that. I'm sure that somebody's ears were burning, and it definitely was not mine. No. But I think, it's really, really good to actually catch up with you, Carl. I'm liking the livery on the Callaway. It's a bit different, isn't it, from what we saw last year?
Yeah, We had a solo sponsorship agreement with a Danish website called gadgethuset.dk, and it is their logo we have placed around the car. So yeah, it reminds me of the VW Polo Harlequin cars from the 90s.
Yes! I was wondering... Yeah, because funny enough, I saw one of those, I think it was about a month ago, looking in a slightly disorganized state of bad repair. I think panels were looking a bit rusty, and it was and this is and the funny thing is, Carl will relate to me on this, is that car hit the road in general distribution round in the mid 1990s, and I think even they were trying, I think, what was it, later on, I think it was the early 2000s, Volkswagen went with the Golf Cabriolet colour concept, and if it was banana yellow, oh boy, were you in for a treat with those yellow leather inserts on the on the panels there as well. And there you can see the DSR Gadgethuset.dk car, the 777. Carl, who's going out in qualifying for the first session? Is it you? Is it Michael? Or is someone going to roll the dice and get snake eyes and have to go first?
I think I'll start, and then Michael will have a turn, but we'll see how it goes. But as it looks now, I'm fastest, so I'm gonna take the main stand.
I'll be completely honest. I did notice in the Discord that Gert Nielsen from Teleforingen was taking the mickey out of Juice's Motorsport Club's Tony Jansen, saying, "Hey, Tony, I'll follow you. I can be just as fast." And I started laughing my head off. But I think the good thing is it just shows the community here within GTR24H, and you've got great characters like Gert that's been around. I think he's like GTR24H furniture, as our ID SimSport as well. It's great to see a lot of drivers that have been with the championship for a very long time, yourselves notwithstanding, for coming back for 2022, and it's a pleasure to have you along with us, Carl, you and the whole team at DSR Gadgethuset.dk.
Yeah, thank you, Alex, and we are looking forward to a great race.
Brilliant. Carl Likkegaard from DSR Gadgethuset.dk, thank you very much for your time. Have a good rest of the evening, Carl. We'll catch up with you guys in quali tomorrow.
So, bye.
So a big thank you to Carl there from DSR in the 777. And just going to give you... We're going to run for the next couple of minutes or so just to give you an idea. Obviously, these lap times will not be in any way reflective of how qualifying is going to go tomorrow. It's going to be a two-part session. Daytime for the first one, nighttime for the second one, and a combined average will decide the grid for the 12 hours of Matsusaka starting at 2 p.m. on Saturday. Now, obviously, a lot of cars have exited or have decided to be in the garage. Henry Sinek, fastest in the DPI class for the 64 Moradis E-Stars, and he was part of the driver lineup that secured the DPI crown at Le Mans last year on the final round. Damien Skovron from Burst Esports, Gooder Sunglasses, 1 minute 45.705. And looking at the lap times, Henry Sinek has put in an absolute blinder, 1 minute 43.832 seconds. Just goes to show that Moradis E-Stars are firing the warning shots across the bow. João Barbosa, in the meantime, for Juice's Motorsport Club, the Academy car, the number 74 Aston Martin V8 Vantage GTE, fastest in the session, 1 minute 55.895. And GT3, Glam Alert, Maria Rinak. At the moment, Lee Russell, 1 minute 57.439. We got Jan Brødsgaard behind the wheel of the Teleforingen 188 BMW, is fourth quickest at the moment, and is currently on a hot lap. Is about 2.26 seconds off of the time set by Lee Russell. Of course, Callum Wilson, one of those drivers. We've got Kuba and also Henrik Hoyer in that crew, and also good to see that Carl Likkegaard, fastest of the DSR Gadgethuset.dk conglomerate, Jakub Kuba Kowalski has not set a lap time in this session as Jan Brødsgaard crosses the line. And let's see if he improves. 2 minute 1.203 was his last lap time. So, realistically, ladies and gentlemen, it's not long until qualifying gets underway for the GTR24H 2022 Endurance E-Racing World Championship season opener here in Asia, in Japan, at Matsusaka, as we will go once around the clock for 12 hours at 2 p.m. Saturday afternoon, and we look forward to having you join us. But realistically, the wait for qualifying is nearly over. Join us here at GTR24H at 7 p.m. Central European Time tomorrow evening. Join myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and Chris Buxton for the first half of qualifying, and then we'll be joined in the studio live here in Denmark from Kieran McGinley and Yusuf bin Suhail, as we will see who will be in pole position and grab the all-important first point to put their championship charges on the assault towards Le Mans at the end of October. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for the last 2 3/4 hours. We're going to sign off for now here at GTR24H. Don't forget to follow us on social media. Don't forget to head to our website, GTR24H.org. Until 7 p.m. tomorrow night, Central European Time, it's good night for now. See you tomorrow, where qualifying gets underway at full throttle. The 2022 Endurance E-Racing World Championship brought to you in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriot, Aztec Sim Sports, Global Flix, Motorvision.tv, Stengolm, ESTV, and Film Vault Limited.
A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
Bye.